Good morning. I have the honor of introducing our student speaker, Darius Adamson. Darius arrived at Tisch and NYU from Columbia, South Carolina. He is an actor, writer, producer, and director, and trained in Playwrights Horizons and Stone Street Studios. Darius has been the co-president of the Collective and the recipient of the Beth Turner Award for Scholarship in the African Diaspora. Please join me in welcoming Darius as your 2023 Salute Student Speaker.
Good afternoon. President Hamilton, Dean Green, honorary guest speaker Billy Crudup, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, alumni, parents and families, and friends and family friends, and my fellow graduates of the class of 2023. It is an honor to stand before you today on this momentous occasion as we celebrate the culmination of our studies at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. For many of us, this can mark the end of an era of consistent sequential schooling. This is a transitory moment in which we find ourselves entering a time in our lives that may not be clearly laid out. What comes next? Enter the ever-present question, what are you doing after graduation? We all know the anxiety that comes from answering this dreaded question. What do you say? You want to be able to map out a clear and guaranteed professional career path, perhaps a job starting immediately after graduation with cushy benefits, like health insurance. For some of us, that may be true. Some of us may know exactly what our next steps are. However, for many of us, that may not be the case. You could try to piece together a few responses. I'm just going to start auditioning. Right. I'm just going to start working. I'm figuring it out. Just to be determined. I devised my response to this question months ago. When asked, Darius, what are you doing after graduation? My response has been, after graduation, I'm probably gonna meet up with my family afterwards and take some pictures. and then we're going to have dinner at Carmine's. Italian served family style. This response has worked because one, it's the truth, and two, it diverts from the unknown of post-grad life. So much is unknown, but here's the good news. We can walk into the unknown equipped with the knowledge of what we do know and what we now hold with us as we stand at the completion of our studies. Exceptional training, access to singular opportunities, and incredibly formative experiences. We are also connected to an ever-growing network of the who's who of the arts and entertainment. Turn on any award show and play the game I like to call, how many of these people graduated from Tisch? While the network and the art of networking are both remarkable, I believe the great promise of NYU is bigger than the network. I believe the greatest gift is something even more powerful: community. When we approach the connections in our lives with the purpose of networking, often with the intention of getting a professional leg up, we center the transaction. What can you do for me? When we approach the connections in our lives for the purpose of being in community, we value our humanity. What can we do for each other? How can we support one another? How can we lift each other up? How can we be an ally to our community members? How can we lead with love? I am proud that I've spent the past 4 years at Tisch building my relationships and being in community with my peers. I've served as co-president of The Collective, a student organization that is dedicated to fostering community amongst Black students across NYU, across artistic disciplines. I've developed relationships that will last a lifetime, personally and professionally, because I recognize the importance of finding and building communal space. With community, we are able to look across and next to one another instead of looking up or down. Community allows us to build something sustainable. As our professional careers develop and grow, we are not racing to a finish line. We are not climbing on top of one another. Instead, we grow together. We lift each other up. We support one another. This notion of community sits at the very crux of what I believe the arts are all about and why I believe the education in the arts is so important. Art is inherently collaborative. Even works that are revered for being created by some great singular mind are still inherently collaborative because, one, art does not exist in a vacuum. We are constantly influencing one another and we have our inspirations. And two, the art is not activated without the presence of an audience. Art is a communal experience, and it teaches us that life is also a communal experience. We should also think of community as something that goes beyond the work of art. It should be thought of as something that can be relied on and something we turn to when we need it most. When the cameras stop rolling, who do you turn to? When the stage lights go out, who is left? When the microphone turns off, who is listening? Who do you have? Who is there for you? Who can lean on you? And who can you lean on? When our lives were collectively interrupted and we were scattered and isolated across the globe, we experienced firsthand what losing a sense of community is like, and yet we found each other again. We continue to hold communal space in various ways, digitally and eventually in person, and we continue to create. With this understanding, I believe we can devise a better answer for what comes next. But first, I'd like to say, network is something one acquires, it's something we've acquired. Community is something you work to build. So, the answer. Next, we move forward. We continue to follow our dreams and aspirations. We continue to fulfill our goals. We continue to create art. We do all of these things. And we do them guided and centered by the greatest gift, our community. Thank you.
Please welcome Andrew Uriarty.